Hi, my name's Kyle. I'm from Toronto, Canada, currently enrolled in the Intro to Music Production put on by Coursera. For the first week, I'm going to talk about microphones, microphone types, and basically how they kind of do their job in terms of collecting sound and that. Now, off the top, I'm not a audio physicist engineer, so to speak, so I'm just going to give a brief overview on how I believe they work, using a couple crude homemade models and that, and hopefully maybe able to help a few other people that are maybe confused and kind of wondering what's going on the inside in terms of collecting the sound and all that. Now, off the top, what is a microphone? A microphone is a transducer, and a transducer basically takes one form of energy and converts it to another form of energy. Now, in this case, we're taking sound pressure levels and we're converting them into electrical energy. Now, how that happens can be different amongst microphones. Now, the first microphone off the top is what we call a dynamic microphone. Now, this guy in here, I'm sure you recognize it. Your standard SM57 microphone, workhorse amongst microphones. Basically, at the front of the microphone in here, we have a diaphragm. Now, switching over to our first crude homemade model, we got something like this, okay? Now, connected to the diaphragm is a coil. Now, that coil is then fed over top of ran through a magnet, okay? Now, as the sound pressure level hits a magnet, hits the diaphragm, it moves the coil around the magnet, okay? Now, in doing so, it creates a current. Very faint, mind you, it still creates a current, and then as a result, we take that signal and we boost it via amplifier. So now when you look at this for a second, you think, wow, that could take quite a bit of maybe energy to move that coil around that the magnet to create that current there. Now, you're right. With these guys in here, these types of microphones, these dynamic microphones, they're great at handling high SPL levels, right? Like a electric amplifier, guitar amplifier, drums, any kind of really a loud source like that, they're great at handling it. So they're great with that. The one thing that they're not the greatest at is collecting the little nuances in terms of subtle sound pressure changes and stuff like that, because you're moving that coil takes quite a bit of energy, like we said, to move that guy in there. So they're not the greatest at getting some of the higher frequencies and little nuances and all that. So where does that take us? That takes us to our next microphone, which is a condenser microphone. Okay, now this is a large condenser microphone. Actually happens to be a Rode NT2A. Right, now its transducer is located up in this region here, and it but it's probably about roughly around the size of this coin in here, maybe a slight little bigger than that. And now the transducer, here's our next crude model in here, is kind of along the lines of this. Okay, what we have here is a back plate, metal back plate in here, and in front of it we have a thin membrane. Okay, now this membrane is typically, I believe, is a mylar material, that extremely thin, about 2 microns, about the thickness of 2 microns, which is extremely thin. And you think about it, what's a micron? One micron is about, I believe, 1/10,000th of an inch. Okay, and the human hair is roughly around 440 to about 120 microns, so it's extremely thin. As a result, it's extremely sensitive to subtle changes in sound pressure level, which is great. Okay, now the only problem is that being a mylar material, it's not a conductor. So what we do is we put a thin layer of gold over top of it to make a conductor, and as a result, what we do then is we send a current through the membrane and another current through the back plate, what they call it. Now that current, that charge, can come via a battery, okay, or it can come via phantom power, your 48 volts, and that comes either from your mixing console, preamplifier, and that. So we send a charge to it. Now here's how these guys work in here. So when this membrane moves, very subtle, right, the distance between the back plate and the membrane here, they just move very subtle like that, and that creates a little current. Now, again, it's very faint, like last time, but we then boost it through the amplification preamplifier and stuff like that. So, great at picking up little subtleties, you know, and that be it a voice, acoustic instrument, and stuff like that. But maybe not necessarily great at hitting, dealing with high SPL levels. Okay. Now, sometimes, not I shouldn't say sometimes, but a lot of times now, technology's improved it to where they can handle the higher SPL levels and that. But they're great for again, voices, acoustic instruments, drums, the cymbals, overheads, and stuff like that. They're great with going across the actual frequency spectrum. So they're awesome in that sense. So hopefully that's helped out. If there's any questions, comments, by all means leave them. Thanks for watching, and I guess we'll maybe catch you on the next one. Take care.